When it comes to Father's Day, some things never change. Dads want steak. In fact, 75% of Americans say there's no better way to celebrate than grilling with the family. That's why I'm giving my dad Omaha Steaks, the original butcher, trusted since 1917. Their steaks are aged for tenderness, hand-cut by master butchers, and full of rich, beefy flavor. I recently tried their filet mignon and all-new smash burgers. Incredible quality and so easy to prepare. Whether it's beef, burgers, chicken, or seafood, every bite is backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. This Father's Day, give Dad the world's best steak experience with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for guaranteed perfect gifts that deliver legendary quality. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code FLAVOR at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code FLAVOR at checkout. See site for details.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Apply for Apple Card today and start earning up to 3% daily cash back on everyday purchases. And that daily cash can even grow automatically when you open a high-yield savings account through Apple Card. What are you waiting for? Visit apple.co/card calculator today to see how much daily cash you can earn. Subject to credit approval. Savings available to Apple Card owners. Subject to eligibility. Savings in Apple Card by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms and more at applecard.com.
You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lou Need, and today I am elated. I am excited to have a special guest to the show, Neil Emeigh. Now, he is the founder and CEO of Rayobyte, a company that he started super young, get this, at 21 years old, and now serves over 5,000 customers, including Fortune 500 companies. And its focus is on web scraping. I don't know what that means, but guess what? That's why we have the expert to come on here and let us know and tell us what it is. We have quite a bit in common. He's done an Ironman, and so that shows you the resilience this young man has, and not just starting a business at 21, but to do an Ironman is no small feat. So with no further ado, Neil, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you, Lenny. Thanks for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. How many Ironmans have you done? Because I did the half Iron, which is
great. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. There's resiliency to be found in that.
Yeah. I've only done one full, and I think that will be my only one. I've done a few halves at this point, and the full, it ends up being at my peak. I was probably around 20 hours of training a week, and it's just exhausting on the body and on the schedule and everything. So it was fun for one time. Right. Yeah.
So at 21, I'm curious to see what was going through your mind, because at that age, not a lot of people are thinking about starting a business. So walk us through what was happening in the young 21-year-old Neil.
I was not either. I was thinking about girls and drinking beer in college, if I'm being frank. but I had always been doing different, mostly in the SEO sphere. I made my first dollar online when I was 14, 15. That was 15 years ago. So 2009. This is when the internet's still kind of finding its place in the world 15 years ago. And I was amazed. I was always amazed that you could make money online. And so I was always just trying different ideas. And the current company as it exists now, so at age 21, that's 9 years ago, it was kind of idea 100 out of all of them. I tried something, it would fail, or it'd make maybe $1,000 or maybe like $50 a month, and you'd be like, oh, I was excited by it when I was in high school and then college. Like that little bit of money was just exciting. And so this idea after idea after idea, the $50 a month would pay for the next idea, and that would pay for the next idea, and then finally this idea, our current company, it was just another idea, like, oh, let me try it. And within the first 3 months, we went from $0 to $100,000 in revenue, and then year one, the first 12-month period was 1.1 million. Year two was almost 3 million. So it was just like, whoosh, it just took off.
Yeah, those are the good numbers that you want to see. You're going in the right
Yeah,
direction.
right. It didn't sustain, unfortunately, but it got us to where we are.
Yeah. And I love that notion of trying and failing and then trying a new idea and then just kind of finding the one to kind of stick with and grow, which you did. But, I'm sure there were some initial challenges you faced. Walk us through what some of those were.
Yeah, well, I didn't know anything. I didn't really have much of a mentor. I didn't have a background of business or even like the type of technology we sold. They didn't really have much of a background in it. And so the littlest of things like, oh, I should probably have a terms of service on my site. And I was selling to customers for years, and we're in an industry where it can be prone to people abusing it for nefarious, like we're an infrastructure company, so they can use the infrastructure for nefarious things. I doesn't have a terms of service that says like, hey, we are not responsible for your use of our product. And so technically I was legally liable for this thing. And then things like taxes and stuff. I paid my taxes, but I was using kind of we're international, we were selling globally, and I was kind of using a small town accountant, and so I had to learn a lot and like what I need for accounting. So all of these things is just I had to self-learn myself.
Yeah, you ground floor. Those are the things that you learn once you get the ball rolling, and you can't learn it until you're in it, right?
You're right, and I had to. There's no choice. It's growing so fast. I'm like, what do I do here and sales and customer support and marketing and legal and finance, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun to say the least.
And then gathering a sales team. The $1 million question: what is web scraping?
So web scraping, the use case that clicks for most consumers is when you're going to buy a flight or a hotel or a car. Most people go to a site like Google Flights or Skyscanner or Booking.com or Kayak or Trivago or, et cetera, et cetera. And all those sites, they're essentially search engines. When you're going there, you, the consumer, are typically looking for the cheapest price in most cases, or filters and functions and stuff like that. And that's what those sites offer as a value to you, the consumer. And so you, the consumer, going to the individual Hilton site, the individual Marriott site, the individual Best Western site, et cetera, et cetera. And so the way that those companies, Booking.com, Google Flights, et cetera, the way they're getting that data is via web scraping. So web scraping is a verb. You do it, which is a software that goes out and grabs the data from, say, a Hilton website or from a Delta or a United site. It goes out, brings it back to your database, so Booking.com or Google, and then displays it to you, the consumer. So you, the consumer, get the cheapest price possible instead of having to manually go to Delta site, United site, Southwest, et cetera.
And how fast is that? Are we talking about seconds, or is it? It's already
Yeah. It's no different than like how fast your computer would load those websites. It's essentially we're just automating you loading that, but we're doing it at huge scales. One of our largest customers is doing something like 10 billion requests a month on an e-commerce site because they just want to gather as much data as possible about every product and every SKU and every color and every review. And there's just so much data to collect that we power that from the infrastructure layer.
Tell us about, you started this. Is there a coding team behind it? How is it initially set up? Because it's super technical.
Yeah. I have a tech background. I was writing scripts and automations actually growing up. So there's a theme to that in my life, automating things, not doing it manually. And for this, and I have a computer science degree in college. And when the company took off, it was by fate. I really do believe it was my last 3 months of college. As I said, I didn't have any ideas in mind, but I wasn't making enough money that was sustainable. So I had pressure from the family system saying, hey, Neil, you're going to get a job. I'm like, well, I really want to have my own company, but it wasn't making enough. And again, this was just like, it wasn't like a pressure. It was just like, oh, let's just try this next idea, I guess. And I just kind of tried this next idea and then poof, it took off. So by fate, that last 3 months of college, it took off and I'm like, okay, this is my full-time job. And the way I approached it was technical enough. And it was I just posted on Elance at the time, a freelancing website, now Upwork. And I just naively wrote like, hey, I need help building this. Found a freelancer, he built it. And I went to I had some groups of people, some niches I knew in the SEO industry that needed this type of product. And I went to them like, hey guys, I built this. Do you want it? And they just grabbed onto it quick, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So it is B2B. You have the model for B2B.
No. From our customers, you mean?
Yeah, so you have a direct to customer, or are you selling to businesses like
Yeah, both.
Kayak, who
Right. Yep. We have customers that pay us as little as $2 a month, all the way up to, we actually have Fortune 500 companies that we work with and other public companies. So it's the whole range of it.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Let's talk about the services that you offer to these customers of yours.
Yeah, so there's kind of two buckets. There's the IP address, the proxy side of stuff. And for consumers, a lot of consumers know what a VPN is. You see advertisements about VPNs or Super Bowl commercials like NordVPN, things like that. A proxy is basically like a VPN. There's a little different technology underneath, but what it essentially does, just like a VPN, is it lets you as a consumer, anyways, if you were to use it, could change your IP address for anonymity so that websites can't track you. They won't right now. If you go with your IP address to Google, they'll follow you and follow you around the web, and they know that IP, so you can use a different IP to basically mask who you are. And then also for like changing your location. So if you travel overseas, a lot of times like VPNs are used for this, where you want to log into, let's say, your US bank account or your Netflix, you need a US IP to do that. And so that's where you turn on these. So that's what we kind of do on the proxy side. We don't, on the consumer side, we don't have too much business in those examples, but that's where consumers can kind of understand what an IP address is. What a proxy does is it was anonymity at the end of the day. And so I gave that example of one of our customers doing billions of requests on an e-commerce site. Well, if an e-commerce site sees your Looney's one IP address hitting it a billion times, is going to say, hey, what's going on here? Why is there a billion requests coming from this one IP? And it'd block it, it'd ban it. And so we provide IP addresses to do that at scale. And kind of the irony of it is the same companies who are blocking these efforts are the same companies that come and work with us and say, hey, I want to go scrape. I want to go, the scrape again comes in. I want to go scrape our competitors because they're doing it to us. Therefore, I want to go do it to them. And so it's this kind of cat and mouse funny thing in between it all. But yeah, that's the proxy side. And then I said the scraping's the verb, which is above proxies. It's the software layer, which actually goes out and grabs the data from the target sites and brings it back in.
That is so interesting. I love learning about this stuff. I didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. The way you get cheaper prices, flights, and your prices on Amazon, Walmart, the way that they're bringing their prices down to be the lowest is because they know what each other is doing in terms of since they're scraping it all the time. So yeah, we as consumers.
One click of a button, or just like watching a screen because you have it set up in the back end. You could for some, yeah. That is impressive. I love what you're doing. It's very unique and different. I can see how it took off because as companies grow, they're doing this. And right now, there's this need to protect people's data because there's so much of it, right? You said, being trailed through your IP. Your data is being captured just to sell to you, to advertise to you. And so the sense of privacy is huge now. I thought to myself, how do I get off the grid? How do I stay away that people can't find me? You literally have to click a button on every website you go to that says, do not sell my information.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Now, when did that become the norm? Like, when is that like the thing to do?
The default is to sell.
There's no privacy anymore. There's no honoring in any of that anymore. I have to click opt out for you to start selling my information. I mean, it's a given. It's like drinking water. It's happening.
Right. Yeah, that's the world we live in. Yeah.
And as your background, what's your take on that? And where do you see we're going? We just an open book and just say, shake our hands and say, there's something I can do.
Right. The advent of introduction of AI is only going to make it worse because AI just needs as much data as possible to make sense of more and more data. And so from a consumer perspective, what I could only recommend, what we know in our industry is, if you're looking at your social media, for example, as a consumer, as long as you in your social media accounts set your privacy that your content isn't being published to the world, it's only to your friends, that is considered information behind a login. It's protected. And companies like ours and the big companies, we don't scrape that and we can't legally. It's locked behind. There's always going to be the sketchy companies out there that will go log in and they'll befriend you or somehow find a way to that. But as a consumer, I would just recommend always locking that down as much as possible if you don't want your data out there. Me, honestly, if I give my opinion, I've just kind of given up at this point. The first time it was years ago, the first time I'd been talking to a friend about some obscure product, like a pink bicycle or something, and then I got an ad on my phone, was the day that said it's over. Like I never searched that at all. It's like they're listening somewhere, somehow, or as some speculator, they try convincing and selling. They say like they just know your buying habits and they would know to promote a pink bicycle. But I'm like, oh, am I leading them on to think that? But yeah, I've given up.
So you said you've given up.
That's
giving up myself.
Yeah, right.
But I do like the advice of only sharing content to your friends. Because honestly, we share it to the world because we're hoping to get more likes, we're hoping to get more followers, but we don't, right? Because they don't really share it outside of your circle to begin with, or you got to really put SEO has to be part of it. There's a lot more work that has to be done for it to go outside of your small little family and friends. So it wouldn't hurt to just only share to those that you have already followed. So I'm going to do that. That's if I can help in any way. I'm not ready to jump to throw my hands up in the air and give up. Right. So I will give that a shot.
Yeah, cool.
Now, I know you've had the option to sell the company, but you want to continue to make this impact because this is very dear to your heart, right? This is like your baby since you're 21. Yeah. Tell us about that. What motivates you to keep it and continue on this journey?
Yeah, it's two things. One honest part, which is it's a struggle that I think a lot of entrepreneurs face, is selling the baby. It's like I didn't know what I'd be running to. There was nothing that was clear in my mind, so all I'd have is money and nothing to do. And so that was a deterrent. But I also knew what I was running from. There were some culture issues in our company, and I just kind of wanted to be done with it. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be, that's not who I am, to just run from something. And so I did the necessary things that needed to happen to get our culture kind of reset and really found a purpose with our company, which is prior to that, well, our company's 9 years. For like the first 3 years of the company, I was living with purpose because I didn't know any better. I was just naive. And what I was doing is I was an inventor. I created new ideas, new thoughts, and we were always just trying things. And then we kind of, quote, grew up, and I bought into this idea of growing up, maturing, stabilizing our company and stuff. And yeah, our results were kind of okay, but it took out the spirit of the company. And so as we now kind of reclaim that with the culture reset, I'm really here to use Rayobyte as a platform. I think businesses themselves, and this is just my opinion, can be used for bad, neutral, or good. Bad and obviously illegal or unethical things, but a lot of businesses too just care about money, only profit. And there was different points in our company history. That's all I was caring about too. I kept telling our company, we're going to be $1 billion startup ideas, but we're going to be worth $1 billion. Wahoo. And I realized that's the wrong way to look at business. I want Rayobyte to be a voice and a platform for doing more than just profit. And so one thing that we're living true to now is the theories of conscious capitalism. It's written by the Whole Foods CEO. And it's his framework and just way of thinking that there's more to a company than just profit. Yes, profit is important, but so are customers, so are employees, so are vendors, so is our community, and so is the environment. And he talks through why these 6 stakeholders should be evenly treated. And that doesn't mean profit. This isn't a kumbaya that we just want to help the environment, et cetera. Like profit's important. It's one of the stakeholders. So you should treat it with respect. But spread that out and do other things. And so that's what I'm here for today, is to try doing more good and leave the world a little better off than when I came here.
Yeah. Tell us about some of the stuff you are doing to impact. What are the conscious capitalism? I know one of them, there's another one that's called CSR, corporate social responsibility.
Corporate social responsibility. Sure. Yeah. One thing, it's not announced yet, but we plan to do some big environment impact here, and that's coming by the end of August. So that's that one focus. On the community side, one thing we have done, and this is kind of before, it was just kind of true to us, and now we're kind of more writing it down, which is we have 16 guys, full-time team members who've been with, one guy's been with me since almost the beginning, like 8 years. They're from Ukraine. And when the war broke out, it was a very, very difficult period for us. And we raised like $20,000. Our company matched a lot of that. We paid for the guys to get Airbnbs. We got them armored escorts out of Kiev when the first invasion broke out, got them to the West. And so when we think of community, the community stakeholder, it's that. And I don't have exact words, but it is that. It's helping people in need, especially our team members and their communities, and in that case, helping them get out. So we're trying to figure out what that looks like more consistently. And then as you go to employees, well, they're employees as well. So that was kind of a win-win. And then other things we do for our companies, maybe nothing special, but just professional development, team trips, so on and so forth. And then customers is probably the one where, again, this middle year of our company, we saw customers as a KPI, as a number, as a chart. The first 3 years of the business, I was doing customer support for the first probably 1.5 years through this, up to maybe like 2 million a year in revenue, probably 500 some customers. And I was doing all the US daytime, and eventually I had to hire at nighttime because we had so many customers, but I just wouldn't let go. I had to be the one talking to customers. And for the first few years of the company, that's how much I cared. And we got so big, I couldn't do it anymore. But then we also started looking at them as KPIs. And so now I'm trying to get us back to those roots of seeing customers as another human being at the end of the day, which is what they are.
Not an IP address.
Yeah. Right.
That's impactful. Thank you for sharing that, because it just put added insight to how to build the culture. Because it starts from the top down, right? And it's about the giving. It's about caring about not just your customers, but also profit. The top to bottom culture and behavior, and that stuff you kind of learn as you see the need to it, right? Because then you're evolving as your company evolves. Because Jim Rohn has a saying that says, when you grow, your company will grow.
Yeah, right.
It's like you've had to undergo that level of growth to get to the next level, considering you didn't want to just walk away while it had cultural issues, because then that would affect the company long term.
Right. Yeah,
but it's a big piece. It's a big piece, the culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I know you've had, we're going to talk about your morning routine, and I'm curious to see how meditation plays a role in it, because I know you had a 7-day silent meditation experience.
Yeah.
That alone is that's huge. So walk us through how meditation is part of your morning routine, how it helps you get up, dress up, and show up.
But truthfully, I probably don't meditate. I meditate in different ways. I've oscillated in terms of what meditation looks like to me. Today, my meditation
7 days was enough. 7 days was enough for you, huh?
Yeah, right. Never again, right? No. I'd probably meditate maybe 10 minutes a week only now, in like the literal sense. But my real meditation these days is running. I'm really big into running now, just simply running, and so I'll run every other day for pretty long distances. And that's where I don't listen to music. I just in my head on the path in nature. But then my another form of meditation is journaling. I'm an avid journaler. To ask why do I feel this way? What happened here? What can I learn about this? And that's a self-reflection, meditative state, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. As a triathlete, I'm not surprised about the running. Distance running. So let's talk about other aspects of your morning routine that kind of primes you to set the tone for the day for the rest of your team.
Yeah. The one and only thing I do now is over time I found something that resonated with me most, which is a structured. It's on my computer now. I don't handwrite it anymore, but it's a structured template that I copy and paste every morning. And what it has is 3 things I'm grateful for. As a stoic mantra that I read and write just a sentence about. There's these 3 different virtue buckets that I learned from this program called Optimize or Heroic, which is your energy, work, and love. And I write down my virtues and what I'm going to do for those each day. Energy, work, and energy, more kind of workout, work, obviously, love, family, girlfriend, things like how am I going to show up and be the best for them that day. And then the final thing is I write basically 1 through 5, 3 being normal. How do I feel this morning? And I just write a number, and then I write sometimes I end up writing for 2 hours and I'm really confronting something, but most mornings it's I feel normal, blah, 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 excited for this today, blah, blah, blah. And doing those things every single day. Oh, and in front of me, I have my monthly goals as well too. So just every morning I'm reading those same monthly goals, and doing that, I feel like just kind of centers me across all buckets of my life. And if I do it every morning, it keeps me on track.
Very nice. Are those personal goals, business goals,
Both. It's put into, just some bullet points, maybe eight bullet points, some are like sub bullet points, usually like 3 or 4 main goals with some sub bullet points that I want to accomplish that month.
Fantastic. It's good to have the target, right?
Exactly.
You can't hit it.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Neil, tell us, where can we find you? Where can we connect with you?
Yeah, so the company is Rayobyte.com. If you're into data scraping, which I assume not many people are, but if you have any interests, please reach out there. And for me, I have my own personal blog, Emeigh.com. I love connecting with others, love sharing ideas with others, and hopefully you reach out and we can have a conversation there as well.
Yes, very nice. And Rayobyte is Rayobyte.
Yes.com. Yeah.
Neil, thank you so much for sharing. It's been such a pleasure having you on today.
Yes, thank you, Amy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time,